Hi guys, welcome back. So we have another project again, and what we're going to do today is that I'm going to teach you some yoga poses. So stay back because we're gonna start after this quick intro. So before we proceed to the actual yoga poses, we will start on the warm-ups. So here, I'm gonna do the warm-up here. I think I need to fast forward this because it would take too long. Just a second. So I'm done with my warm-up. Let's proceed to the yoga. So the first yoga pose that we're going to do is the Vinsaya. Chaturanga is the movement from high plank to low plank. From plank pose, press forward on your tiptoe and shift your shoulders beyond your wrists. This forward action before your lower down into the low push-up will keep your shoulders and lower back open. Next is the inhale, upward facing dog. Pull your shoulder blades in toward your spine down to your back and lift your sternum skyward to open your chest and maximize your breath. The next one will be the exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your hips up and back to down dog. The movement is initiated from your core to your center. So now let's start with our warm-up poses. The first warm-up pose that we're going to do is the child's pose. So at the back of the mat, bring your big toes together. Widen your knees to the edges of your mat. Press your hips back to rest on your heels. Rest your forehead on the mat and allow your shoulders soften. So this pose has an adaptation, which is the tented fingers. Stay with your breath and bring your attention to your hands. Press down through your fingertips and lift through the center of your body. The next pose would be the tabletop. Come to your hands and knees, stack your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. On all four, extend your tailbone to the back of your mat as you lengthen your crown forward. Pull the base of your palms toward your knees and your knees towards your palms to ignite your core and lift your low belly. So this pose has an adaptation, which is called the extended tabletop. Awkward airplane and tabletop crunches. Next will be the cat and cow. Come to tabletop on your hands and knees. With your hands rooted under your shoulders and your knees under your hips, tuck your toes to help you stabilize and hug your lower belly up and in. With your inhale, relax your belly down, draw your shoulder blades together to open across your chest, and lift your gaze as you go into cow pose. Next would be the reclined bound angle. Lie on your back, bring the soles of your feet together and spread your knees. Lengthen your tailbone toward your heels to elongate your back. Extend your arms out to your side with your palms facing up, or bring one hand on your heart and one hand to your lower belly. Close your eyes and tune in to your breath. Next would be the supine twist. Lie down and gently pull your right knee to your chest as you extend your left leg long. Hold your right knee with your left hand and twist it across to the left side of your mat. Extend your right arm long and gaze over the right shoulder. With your inhales, lengthen through the side of your body. With your exhales, pull your navel back toward your spine and twist from your center. Unwind, come through the center, and repeat on the other side. Next would be the easy pose. Sit on the floor, block, or a blanket so that your hips are higher than your knees. Cross your shins, widen your knees apart, and slide each foot under your opposite knee. Lift the crown of your head high to lengthen your spine. Place your palms down or up on your legs or take a mudra. Soften your shoulders down your back and relax your facial muscle. The easy seated twist and the easy seated fold will be the adaptation. Next would be the thread the needle. On all four, thread your right arm under your left armpit and rest your right cheek on the mat. Hold, then unwind to return through tabletop pose and repeat on the other side. So next would be the knees to chest. Lie on your back and squeeze both knees onto your chest. Wrap your arms around your shins or hold your legs behind your knees. Flex your feet and awaken your toes. And next would be the rock and rolls. Lying on your back, squeeze both knees into your chest. Flex your feet and awaken your toes. Hold your legs either behind your knees or in the front of your shins. Using your core strength, rock back and forth from your shoulders to your toes. So next would be the supported hero pose. Kneel on the floor with your shins parallel, the top of your feet on the ground. Sit on a block, cushion, or folded blanket between your heels to elevate your hips higher than your knees. Slide your knees together, lift your shoulders to your ears and roll your shoulders down and back open across your chest. Set your gaze straight ahead or close your eyes and tune in to your breath. Next would be the mountain pose. Stand with your feet together at the top of your mat, with your big toes touching and your heels slightly separated. Ground down through your corner or both feet and extend the crown of your head towards the sky. Lift your kneecap, engage your quadriceps, and hug your outer shins in towards each other. Now the adaptation would be the upward mountain pose with side bend and open arm twist. Next would be the downward facing dog. Plant your hands shoulder distance apart or wider at the top of your mat. Lift your hips and straighten your legs to create an inverted V shape. Ground down through all four corners of your feet and press your heels towards the mat. Activate your legs and arms by firming from the skin to the muscle. Let your hands hang in line with your arms and set your drishti between your ankles. Next would be the down dog splits. From downward dog, lift your inner right thighs. Then repeat on the other side and hold for the same count or add a flow sequence for one inhale. Next would be the halfway lift. From standing forward fold, bend your knees, slide your palms to your shins, and press firmly into your legs. Extend your tailbone back and align your torso parallel to the mat. Set your gaze to the ground so your neck is neutral and aligned with your entire spine. Next would be the standing forward fold. Either stand your feet together or separate your feet so they are below your hips and parallel to each other. Hinge your hips, fold your torso over your thighs. Next would be the high plank. From downward facing dog, shift forward and stack your shoulders over your wrists and extend your heels to the back of your mat in a high push-up pose. Lengthen your crown forward and reach your heel. The adaptation of these poses would be the plank curls or knee, 3-point plank, and plank with ankles crossed. Next would be the low plank. In plank, press into the first two knuckles of each hand with your palms flat. Look forward past the top of your mat and press your toes. Your elbow should be a 90-degree angle. Engage your lower abdomen and tighten your legs so that your weight is distributed through your entire form. Press your tailbone towards your heels. The adaptation of this pose is to use your knee to support your weight. Next would be the upward facing dog. Start by lying down on your front body. Press your palms into the mat and slide your thumbs back by your lower ribs. Root down through the triads of your hands. Straighten your arms to press the earth away from you and stack your shoulders over your wrists. Next would be the low cobra. From high plank, lower your whole front body down to the mat. Untuck your toes and press down through the top of your feet and toenails and firm your leg muscles. Slide your palms back so that your thumbs are in line with your lower ribs. As you inhale, engage your back, body, and curl your chest up. Keep the gaze down to your mat and your neck neutral. Next would be the chair pose. From a standing forward fold, bring your feet together with your big toes touching at the center of your mat. Stay grounded through all four corners of your feet. Separate your hands off shoulder width apart and slightly rotate your pinky fingers in forward each other to broaden your upper back. Next would be the warrior one. From downward facing dog at the base of your exhale, use your core strength to step your right foot to your right thumb. Next would be the power poses. From downward facing dog, step your right foot forward to the top of the mat and ground your back heels to the earth. Draw your heels toward one another to ignite your inner thighs. With your inhale, lift up, turn open to the left side of your mat. Spread your arms wide and stack your wrist over your ankles. The adaptation of these poses would be the reverse warrior, next would be the extended side angle. Align your heels in your wide warrior 2 stand. Keep your front knee bent. Pull your front heel to the back of your mat. Tilt your tailbone down towards your back heels and lift your belly. The adaptation of this pose would be the extended side angle with a bind. Next pose would be the triangle. Take a wide warrior stance on the mat. Straighten both legs while keeping a slight bend on your front knee. From your hips to your heels, root down to create a solid foundation to the earth. Lift the energy up to your legs and hug your muscles to the bones and draw your energy into your core. The adaptation of this pose would be the extended arm triangle and the reverse triangle. So next would be the humble warrior. From warrior 1 on your right side, interlace your fingers at your lower back and create a bind. Bend your elbows deeply and hug your shoulder blades together. With your collarbones broad, straighten your arms, lift your chest and gaze up as you inhale. On your exhale, bow your chest and head to the ground and hug your right shoulder to the inside of your right knees. The next would be the crescent lunge. With a long distance on your mat, ground down into all four corners of your front foot and stack your heels over balls of your back foot. Bend your front knee to 90 degrees, hug your inner thighs towards your center line and square both hips to the front of the mat. The adaptation of this pose would be the low crescent lunge. Low lunge with quad stretch. And low crescent lunge with a bind. Lightning lunge. And fire lunge. Next would be the star pose. Step your feet wide apart, facing the long edge of your mat. Press down into your feet and pull up through your legs and core. The next would be the wide leg forward fold. Take a wide stance, facing the long edge of the mat, with your feet about 4 to 5 feet apart. Catch your hips with your hands, hug your arms, bones back, and on your inhale, stand tall and lift your chest. The adaptation of these poses would be the wide leg forward folds with arm variations. Next would be the big toe pose, leg lifts. Step to the top of your mat in a standing forward fold. Unite your peace fingers, your index and middle fingers. Press down into all four corners of your feet. Shift your weight onto the left foot and stack your left hip over your heels. Lift your right thigh bone into your hip and float your right foot a few inches off the earth. Next would be the pyramid pose. From your warrior 2 or triangle legs, step your back foot up toward the top of your mat a third of the way to shorten your stance. Straighten both legs while keeping a slight bend in both knees. Bring your hands to your hips and steer both hips points forward to face the front of your mat. The adaptation of this pose would be the reverse Namaste pyramid. Next would be the goddess pose. Come into a wide stance with your feet about one leg distance apart. Bend your knees deeply to create 90-degree angle and press your knees towards your pinky toes. Stack your shoulders over your pelvis as you reach the crown of your head towards the sky. Unite your palms together at your heart. The variation of this pose would be the goddess with eagle arms, goddess twist, next would be the big toe with your feet hip width apart and parallel. Hinge at your hips to fold your torso over your thighs and release the crown of your head toward the ground. Connect your index and middle fingers together. On the exhale, hinge your hips and fold toward. Next would be the gorilla. In a standing forward fold, slide your palms under your feet with your toes facing the heels of your hands and your toes up to the creases in your wrist. On an inhale, come into a halfway lift. Stack your hips over your heels, let your head and neck hang. With your exhale, fold back down into a standing forward fold. Next would be the fire toes. Come into a kneeling position in your heels, tuck your toes under and sit back on your heel. Hug your inner ankles together, squeeze your legs towards your center line and lift your hands to prayer. Next would be the yogi squat. Separate your feet wide enough so that both heels are on the ground as you come into the squat. Press down into all four corners of your feet to create a solid foundation. Bring your hands to your heart center and press your triceps into your legs and your legs back into your arm. Lift your lower abdomen up and in. Reach your chest height to meet your prayer hand. Next would be the bear pose. From yoga squat, press down into the floor and lift your hips in line with your knees. Interlace your fingers, extend your arms long, squeeze your triceps into your ears and press your palms away your hips. The next one would be the eagle. Standing in Tadasana, set your drishti to a point that doesn't move before you begin. Bend your knees and shift your weight into your left foot. Lift your right leg and wrap your right thigh around your standing legs. Repeat on the other side. The adaptation of this pose would be the eagle with arm variation and nested eagle. Next would be the standing leg raise. Stand at the top of your mat, your hands on your hips. Root down through your left foot. Lift your right knee up to hip level and flex your foot. Either hold your right knee with your right hand or your right big toe with your right piece. Draw your upper arm bones into your back and broaden across your chest. Set your gaze straight ahead at the horizon. The adaptation of this pose would be the standing side leg raise and the standing leg raise twist. Next one would be the tree pose. Standing at the top of your mat, ground down through all four corners of your right foot and lift your leg foot in an inner thigh of your standing leg. Stabilize your center by pulling your belly button up and in and slide your tailbone down. The variation of this pose would be to modify. Stretch your arms up. Anchor down into all four corners of your right standing foot. Ignite and lift your quadriceps. Bend your left knee and catch the arc of your left foot with your left hand. Tilt your tailbone down toward the ground and engage your core to stabilize at your center. The variation of this pose would be the dancer with flexed foot. Flex your left foot and align your toes at 12 o'clock. And the full dancer. To add more challenge and skill, bring both hands to your lifted foot, kick up, and shine your chest high. Which is, I can't do. So the next would be the balancing half moon. Come into a standing forward fold to set. Plant your right hand about 12 inches or more in front of your standing foot in line with your pinky toes and lift into your fingertip. Ground down into the four corners of your right foot and from your core strength, lift your left leg up and in line with your hips, parallel to the floor and flex your foot. The adaptation of this pose, the sugar cane pose and the revolved half moon. The next would be the Warrior 3. From Tadasana, use your core strength and lift one knee up toward your chest. With your exhale, hinge your hips, align your torso with earth, and kick your lifted heels to the wall behind you. The adaptation of this pose would be the airplane pose. The next would be the standing split. Beginning in a standing forward fold and ground your inhale, lengthen your spine into halfway lift and press up onto your fingertip. The next would be the chair twist. Bring your feet together in the center of your mat and sit deeply into chair pose. Lengthen your tailbone and lock your elbow belly. Unite your hands to heart. Next would be the crescent. In a crescent lunge, connect your hands at heart center. Inhale and lift your chest to meet your hands and lengthen your spine. The next would be the seated twist. Sit on ground and extend both legs forward. Bend your right knee and step your right foot over your left leg to the outside of your left thighs. Slide your left foot to the outside of your right hip. Tend your right fingers behind your sock. With your inhale, reach your left arm high. With your exhale, hook your elbow over your right thigh. Hold and breathe deeply as you unwind and repeat on the other side. The next would be the twisting. From your triangle base, stand up, rotate both hips forward, front of your mat. With your right foot forward, bring your right hand to your right hip and reach your left arm high. Root down into your feet and squeeze your inner thighs towards your center. Next would be the wide down dog. From downward facing dog, step your feet wide off the outer edge. Walk back to your feet and connect your thumbs at the center. So the next poses that we're going to do is the core strength poses. First pose is the boat. Be seated and plant both feet on the ground with your knees bent. Hook your hands behind your knees and lift your heels to knee level or extend your knee heels up and forward. You can keep your hands behind your back for support or extend your hands forward and spread your fingers. Engage your lower abdomen and lift your heart high. The adaptation of this pose is full boat with straight legs and support boat. And next would be the scissor crunches. Lie on your back, extend both heels to the sky and flex both feet. Ignite your legs and hug your muscles to the bones. Extend both arms to the sky and unite your palms like an arrow. The next would be the scissor kicks. Lie on your back, extend both heels to the sky and flex both feet. Lengthen your arms along the side of your body and press your palms flat on the floor. Lower your left leg so your heel hovers 6 inches off the earth. Fully extend on your exhales and transitions to the other side on your exhales to move with 1 breath per movement. Next is the plank curls. Start in either downward facing dog or high plank. On your exhale, shift forward and touch your right knee to your right triceps. Engage your core and lift your knee high up towards your armpit. With your inhale, shift forward and cross your right knee to your left elbow. Lift your belly and squeeze your obliques. Next is the bicycles. Lie on your back and create a 90-degree angle with your legs. Flex your feet. Interlace your hands behind your head, open your elbows, and keep your chest broad. Before you lift your chest, activate your core and pull the abdominal muscles in. Lastly is the crow crunches. Lie down on your back and stretch out long. Lift your heels 6 inches off the ground and reach your arms overhead. Engage your center, pull your belly button to your spine and firm your legs. Repeat these actions, moving 1 breath per movement. And before we end this exercise, we will do a cool down. So I guess that's it. Those were the yoga poses. And sorry if I misinstruct you. I'm no professional yoga instructor. I am just a student and this is just for school purposes only. So my teacher asked me what were the muscles that are involved in this activity, in this exercise, in yoga. So I guess it's all. I guess all my muscles, well, yeah, including my face muscles, because you know when I'm breathing, I'm just doing this. So or when I do the exercise, I move my face, and the sternocleidomastoid, my deltoid, my abdominals, was especially my legs, my muscles in my legs, the hamstrings, here. I can't point that out. In my legs, my lower part of my body, it hurts. Even though I've done my warm up already. Well, I guess my all the muscles, the anterior and the posterior, I guess all. So yeah, I guess that's it. So I'm gonna end this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you're gonna drink your water, take your vitamins, and have a healthy lifestyle. That will be all. Bye.